I think practice helps because I still will say, okay, do you know what? I don't have 10 minutes. I only have 5 minutes. This will probably, I'll get half of it done in 5 minutes. Well, lo and behold, this job that I've never timed before, oh, that took like 2.5 minutes. Or, I'll try to run and do something while my coffee's reheating for 30 seconds. I'll come back and it'll feel like it's been 2 minutes.
Welcome to the Simplified Organization podcast, 15-minute conversations with real moms about managing our homes and family life cheerfully to the glory of God. We can actually enjoy housework and love being homemakers when we focus on truth and work with gratitude. I'm Mystie Winckler, homemaker for 23 years, homeschool mom of 5 with 2 graduates, and author of Simplified Organization, Learn to Love What Must Be Done. I write and podcast at Simply Convivial, and I run Convivial Circle, a community helping women to excel at homemaking and doing life cheerfully. And today I'm joined by a repeat guest and member of Convivial Circle, Erica McCartney. Erica lives in Pennsylvania with her husband Jamie and 3 girls, ages 13, 11, and 3. She homeschools, is involved in her local church and local co-op. She likes reading, writing, coffee, painting, exercising, and being outside. And we recently in the community just wrapped up our kind of year-long Simplified Organization community coaching, where we kind of go through like just all the elements of homemaking and life management. And it's not that we master them all, but we think about them all. We kind of touch base and work through things. And at the end, there's this survey. And in the survey, I ask everyone, what is one bit of wisdom you've learned? And I loved Erica's response, so I wanted to have her on to talk about it. She said this in her survey: it's all going to come undone again because I have a full life full of responsibilities. I am counted on to do my duty to God and others. My job is to maintain. I can maintain in 5 to 20-minute increments. I cannot maintain with big mountain peak overhauls, followed by long valleys of letting it all go while waiting for time to do the next big overhaul, which I thought is just a great way to express that boom and bust cycle that I spent a lot of time being in that pattern. And the 5 to 20 minutes doesn't feel like enough in the moment. But when you look at the kind of zoom out, it's like, oh, this maintenance is different from project thinking.
Yeah, it is. It's funny, even like as a process, I think, like you were talking about with Simplified Organization, community coaching, and kind of touching base with these things all the time. That's why I keep doing it, is because I need that constant reminder of not being a perfectionist, because it's so ingrained. I'm like, I don't know if this is ever going to go away. And so I even noticed it with, it started with the bingo that you do in February, the 10-minute bingo. And then I just keep seeing it in other areas of my life. So recently I kind of reworked my chore list and how I do those. And I like to break the house up into zones over a 4 to 5 week period. And I kept making Wednesdays my day to do that. That was the day to do the zone. And it kept not working. I kept not being able to pull aside like 30 or 40 minutes like I thought I could to get it done. I'm like, oh, wait a second. I can do this throughout. And instead of doing like, oh, on this day and decluttering the rest of the time, like I could break it up to the last 2 or 3 weeks. And it's working so much better because I'm like, where can I squeeze in 5 minutes, as opposed to how am I going to fit this big thing and then it never getting done? Because that's what happened this last fall. Things were so busy, so unexpectedly busy. A lot of different things popped. My husband was in charge of a fall festival for our church, and I ended up helping him with that a lot. And I ended up having several doctor's appointments, and 2 of my daughters had several different appointments. I've been able to maintain that better in the fall had I thought that through. But now I think around here at our house, January through March, like there's a lot going on, but it's not like it is once it gets warm. So, I mean, but I think this is going to work based on the track record with other 10-minute things. I think it'll work.
I think so too. So how are you then breaking it? Are you giving yourself just spend 10 minutes in the zone doing whatever needs to be done? Or do you have like lists that you're like work through the list in 10 minutes? Or how are you setting that up?
I don't know. I mean, right now it's just kind of like my mood. Because
Mhm.
sometimes, depending on how I feel or my energy level, if I have a list telling me what to do, I might be like, I don't want to do that. And then I won't do anything. But if I just kind of look at what needs to be done and what kind of time I have, like for instance, Thursdays, we're out of the house all day long. I get home in time to put my toddler in bed usually. And so when I get home, I don't have a lot of energy, but I could take 5 minutes. Like this week was my homeschool slash entryway. I was able to take 5 minutes instead of leaving those little boxes on wheels. Have you seen those? I feel like a lot, I don't know, around here, a lot of homeschoolers use them. I use that to take everything to co-op and stuff. And I'm like, well, I can at least take 5 minutes and put that stuff away. And then I kind of start going and, I get those things put away. I'm like, oh, well, I'll just organize this little tiny space here. And it happened in less than 5 minutes, maybe, but I made a lot of progress. But I might, like for the kitchen, there might be, I think I might, or the living room, maybe. I forget things in those places. Like there's things I just don't even sometimes pay attention to. Like, oh man, maybe I should wipe down the cabinet, the shelving inside the cabinets. I never thought about that until like over the summer. I'm like, oh gosh, I don't think I've wiped like the shelving inside since I put these glasses in here. That's probably something I should do. I might even like consult a list. I saw a list in my new planner of like ideas and things. And so I might look at that. The same thing with the living room. There's just all these little things that collect dust or need moved and in those places, I can see how a list would help me stick to the 5 to 10 minutes because otherwise I'm going to just keep going. And then I'll let other things like I'll not fold laundry because I'm like, oh, just one more thing. Whereas the homeschool area, it's tinier. My entryway is really tiny and there's not a ton to do in there. And so I think I can just look at it. So I guess it'll just be, I'll have to feel it out, but depending on the size of the room and the issues that are in there as to what I'll do, I really have to base it on my tendencies because otherwise I won't do it. I won't stay consistent or I'll do too much and, let other things go and I'll have mount laundry to contend with at the end of the week or something because I didn't. That's what I was actually doing today a little bit, mount laundry, making it smaller just because it was a busy week. But, I can make that happen to myself too.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, and that's what you're describing is iterating and working with, I think like personal attention and engagement. And like lists can be great tools, but they aren't the magic answer. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really is as homemakers, it is just being engaged with the home as our responsibility that we are paying attention to. I know some of my boom and bust
Mm-hmm.
time was because I wanted it to not take my attention.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of want to ignore it. Like there are other things that I would rather be doing than doing this thing that I have to do every single day or every single week. Sometimes the monotony when you don't like learn to love what must be done, you're instead of learning to love it, you're teaching yourself to hate it.
Yeah.
And you have to, like as you're talking, something clicked. I'm like, it's almost like we have a relationship with our house rather than it being like it's not a company or like a project or like this thing where you do these steps because there are people that you have relationships with inside the house. So you almost have to, you're right, you can't have just a list. And I don't think you can necessarily go at it, based on your mood either. You have to take both because I think that maybe it's like vices, it's like that tension, that healthy tension you have to have for growth. because otherwise, yeah, you're going to fall to strictly adhering to the list. And if I do that, I'm going to get frustrated. Well, who am I going to get frustrated at? I'm probably first not going to get frustrated with me because it's my responsibility. I'm going to blame everybody else. And I'm like, these people, these people who are coming into my kitchen and messing up my stuff, or, I just cleaned the bathroom and you just did a slime project in my sink, or whatever. Yeah, so it's just occurring to me as you're talking, like things are clicking, like, oh, my house is, it sounds weird, yeah, but it's relational. I almost have to think of it like a person, I guess. I don't know how else to put that. That's a new thought.
Yeah, that makes sense to me because we do sometimes we fall into those traps of like overemphasizing efficiency or looking for the way out of putting forth effort and attention when we think of it like a system, like just
Mm-hmm.
something that we should be able to plug and play. Like if I figure it out correctly, if I get the right checklist, if I get the right zones in my calendar at the right times, then
Mm-hmm.
suddenly it's not going to take any effort or it will work effortlessly. And yeah, it works more like working with people, even though, yeah, the house isn't a
Yeah,
person, but
yeah, yeah.
that's
It's
that,
like,
that works.
yeah, yeah. Well, because it does just so ebb and flow. There's people growing in it. There are literal seasons outside
Yeah.
changing with it. This last week we had a good bit of snow for us, and the kids were outside playing in the snow. And so this was my week to clean the entryway, and I did, but it got dirty almost instantly because, even though I put down towels and put out a laundry basket for the snow clothes, and I have a little system, you know, Lily, my 3-year-old, she doesn't understand to stay on the towel all the way. And when I have a rug there too, that's kind of like a carpet, and my girls are like, "Stay on the carpet, Lily, stay on the carpet." Well, she ran over to my carpet, across the hard floor over to the carpet. So there's mud and there's snow, and it's stuff like that that like a list doesn't account for necessarily. I mean, you could, but gosh, that's going to be a tedious, detailed list that's going to become overwhelming and frustrating really quickly, especially if you don't like, I don't like a ton of details. I get kind of swamped by them. I need like little handholds, those like reminders, things that like keep me kind of like grounded in the reality of taking care of a house instead of that going too detailed is going to get too perfectionistic.
Hmm. Yeah, because life just happens in unpredictable ways. Your work
Mhm.
unfolds before you.
Yes, it does. Gosh, sometimes it does, like I really actually on last Monday, was it? I really wanted to do school, but it was the first big snow we'd had in a couple of years. I got to let the kids play outside, which is silly. That's a good thing. It's so good that they wanted to play outside. But yeah, things like that, or yesterday during one of the Zoom calls, I was like so looking forward to sitting down and listening and talking and paying attention. My husband worked from church, which is just 5 minutes down the road, instead of going into his other full-time job. And he's like, "I'll just go grocery shopping for you so you could stay home." And I didn't realize he was going to come home early. And so he's bringing in the groceries during the call. And then I get settled again. And one of my girls is like holding up notes and is like, "Can we please watch a show while you're on this call?" I'm like, "Have you done your spelling?" you know? And then Lily woke up and I'm like, "Oh, dang it." It's stuff like that. And, sometimes it's hard to laugh at, sometimes, yeah, but that one was easier. But things like that, I feel like happen so often, and it's good to have like these little principles and these little reminders that you get like in the community, because otherwise, I think I would, and I do. I'm more prone to get angry about it than I am to like laugh about it or say, "Oh, this is just normal." Like, "Oh, my perfection is ruined." You know?
Yeah, and holding that balance between it's good to have a plan and make a plan because sometimes the time isn't interrupted.
Yeah, yeah,
It just, it's also a problem to just go like, well, we're just going to see what happens and I'm just going to be reactive to emergencies You'll end up
Yeah.
having more emergencies if
Yeah.
that's the pattern.
Yeah. It's so true. I feel like that was really my life. Like before I started doing, step by step things and, or, like baby steps and things like this. I remember we would have friends of ours come by and they would come for the whole day because they lived about an hour out. And it was always panic to me and my husband are like frantically cleaning the house because I would just boom, bust, boom, bust. And then it was also panic for me or dread maybe after because their kids would come and the kids would play and the adults would, like be off talking and letting the kids do whatever so that we could have some time. And it would take me like a week to clean up from these visits because I was just overwhelmed and I didn't know, I didn't know how to handle it. And so it was not fun to have people over. And it was not fun that it would take, like half the day or, to get ready for them to come over. So that just steals a whole day of like, and, then you have to put down other things too, because do you know what? Oh no, emergency. People are coming over. I don't want to be embarrassed at my house. And then also, well, I had to put down folding laundry. I had to put down wiping down the bathroom or something else that maybe needed to be done just for like the maintenance, the functionality of the house. And so, yeah, you're right. Like then I had, a long-term like emergency situation that week after. Goodness, I hope nobody comes over because it takes me forever to clean up after these big messes. And that doesn't feel good. It feels better to like, I've got like a bit more confidence now. Like I'm not going to let the house get to the state where it takes me a week to clean it up or half the day or whatever. And I can manage it when something comes my way that I don't like or that, another one yesterday when I was putting the groceries away, trying to get back to the call, I opened up a drawer and there was olive oil from this thing of olives in the drawer. And I'm like, I can't put away the groceries. I have to take this thing out and I can't just wipe it down with the Clorox wipe. It's oil. I have to put it in the sink. I have to scrub it with soap. But I didn't get mad about it. I was like, oh, this is the thing that I need to do. Whereas I think that might have like ruined my day in the past because I wouldn't have, or something like that coming up. Like I have a plan now. Oh, do you know what? That feels like it's going to take 20 minutes, but it's actually only going to take 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And I'll just pivot, you know? It's not like this upheaval now, like because everything is off. I can just, oh, do you know what? I really wanted to do these things that I had on my in my brain dump or my top three. Well, that's okay because I can X that out. I'm the boss. I can say, no, do you know what? Oh darn, I don't have time to paint my nails. Look, I didn't have time to paint my nails. It's okay because I'll get to it. There are other things that need to get done. And that's fine. Well, it'll happen. Or I'll take my nail polish off the other hand, whatever. That's faster, probably.
So do you think some of that is just the practice of doing work at in the 5 to 20 minute increments because you start getting a better sense of how long things take and getting more practice really because you're doing smaller bits? I'm thinking like the after the visit type thing.
Mm,
You just have more mess than usual
hmm
and getting back to the normal after that without it feeling like upheaval. It's still the same
Yeah.
amount of work.
Well, there's a couple things. So, yeah, definitely. I think practice helps because I still will say, okay, do you know what? I don't have 10 minutes. I only have 5 minutes. This will probably, I'll get half of it done in 5 minutes. Well, lo and behold, this job that I've never timed before, oh, that took like 2.5 minutes. Or, I'll try to run and do something while my coffee's reheating for 30 seconds. I'll come back and it'll feel like it's been 2 minutes. It's been 15 seconds. But also, I think part of it too has been like the 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, totally. Like that definitely helps in the day to day. And it does eventually, like quickly build you momentum. I think it's also like doing these bigger things, like finding the why behind what I'm doing and also being reminded pretty consistently to let go of the perfectionism, to let go of trying to have a sterile home, that looks like it could be on the front of a magazine or something. I think that like little things to like EHAP, like thinking about everything has a place. I remember hearing that for the first time years ago and be like, oh, things need to have a home in my house so that everything can have a place. And so, but figuring out how to manage that with kids, not just with me or me and my husband. And so I think that made a big difference too, like over time, like a long time, like getting bins for certain things or, saying this is where this goes every time. Even if the kids don't put it there, that's where I put it. I think little practices like that also help eventually when you have that, hangout time and the kids wreak havoc and then you have to pick it up later. Starting with one or two habits and getting them down pretty good, pretty consistently, and then slowly adding in another and slowly adding in another rather than doing them all at once. Like you really start to build so that it's not a big deal and it doesn't take me a week. It takes me like half hour or an hour to clean up, maybe not including dishes, but just like the house stuff, not food stuff. And then the mentality shift too, like you said, of oh, I thought this was going to take a half hour. It didn't. It took me 15 minutes. It took me 5 minutes.
This has been such a helpful and fun conversation. Thank you so much, Erica.
Thanks for having me. This has been great.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Erica as much as I did. And if you want some help and guidance in putting together your own cleaning plan with maintenance tasks and zone thinking for your own situation, but without onerous, overwhelming checklists, then I have just the resource for you. I have a create your own personalized house cleaning plan that is available for free. Just go to simplyconvivial.com/clean and download your guide that will walk you through thinking through your home, your kids, your situation, and the amount and timing of maintenance housework that your particular situation requires. It will help you be engaged and attentive as a homemaker. That's simplyconvivial.com/clean to get that free guide, which will also help you to repent, rejoice, repeat.